This video is sponsored by Squarespace.
Just another video of me being angry, nothing new.
That's it, that's my intro.
Hey, I'm Amanda, I'm professionally curious and I talk for a living. You're watching Swell Entertainment, the channel where I tell you about whatever I'm obsessed with every week. And I'm currently in a hotel in Springfield, Illinois because I am here for the opening of the Women's Professional Baseball League. Yes, there will be a video about that if it's not already out by the time you see this. But I wanted to film a video because I was going to make an article about this for my Substack, the Glasses Files. However, the more I thought about it and the more I was planning on writing it, the more I was like, I kind of want to yell. Just a little bit.
Really quick, let me take a second to tell you about the sponsor for today's video, Squarespace. Do you want to set up a blog to talk about books? Or maybe you want to set up a store so that you can sell your self-published books? Then Squarespace is the all-in-one website design platform to help you stand out and succeed online. If you're not sure where to start with building a website, Squarespace has a ton of incredible design templates for you to choose from. They make it super easy to set up or revamp your online store, and with built-in analytics, you can figure out exactly where to focus engagement. And they have built-in donation tools so you can fundraise directly on your site. Go to squarespace.com to get started on a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/swellentertainment to get 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring this video.
And I think filming it while I'm here is good because this will prevent me from actually yelling because there's other people around, obviously. My voice is also extremely tired from screaming and all the traveling I've been doing. So what are we talking about when we are talking about physical media? We are talking about literally physical media. Here are two books. This is a copy of Butter by Asako Yuzuki and also the literal Merriam-Webster's Pocket Dictionary I bought because I am so agitated every time I try to Google a word and the AI summary tells me, nope, I will be physically searching up words going forward. And yes, I brought this with me to Springfield so I could still do that because my brain will thank me. The point of physical media, for the most part, is that once you buy it, this is now mine. I now own a copy of this book. Do I own the copyright to this book? Absolutely not. This is still Yasuki's work, okay? But this physical book, no one can come and try and tell me that I need to give them more money for this or that I actually don't own it, it was a loan, and that I was renting it. No, I physically spent money. I spent $19.99 on a copy of this book. Mine now. One of the reasons that I am so passionate about physical media is I had a Nook and I had a Kindle growing up, okay? For those of you who don't know, I am dyslexic and I got to a stage where the only way to deal with my dyslexia at this point is to just continue to voraciously read. And I was going through books like I was drinking water, okay, in middle school and high school, to the point that my parents were like, okay, we can't keep taking you to the bookstore. We don't really want to keep driving you to the library. We're just going to get you an e-reader, okay? So I got a Kindle and then eventually I got a Nook because they were like, oh, well, this looks cool, okay. So I had both at one point, would usually switch off between, and now I do still own a Kindle, okay? But I would go through books very voraciously. Before Kindle Unlimited, there was a lot of ebooks that were much more affordable, and even then it was like, okay, well, we're not driving to the store, therefore, this makes more sense. It's the whole thing, okay? When I was in high school, there was, I believe, an article about, I think, the UK arm or something of, it was Nook or Kindle, I'm not certain. But basically, a bunch of people that were, had been reading EPUBs of books were finding out that they were not going to have access to their books anymore, their e-readers, their arms of those companies were going to be shutting down. And so they were like, okay, well, what do we do? Because we bought these books, okay? And they were like, no, you don't actually own those versions of the books, even though they were still on their e-readers. Those are basically leases. You don't actually own them. They're like rentals. They're on loan. So we actually don't need to give you anything, not a digital copy, nothing like that you can use on a different, tool other than our e-reader. No, you don't own those. And so from that point forward, I did end up, downsizing my personal collection, as I said, when I was moving out. But I have been very, locked in on, okay, once I physically buy something, that's mine. Even to the point where if there are books that I read on audiobooks, if I get a good deal, I will go and then later buy the physical copy, especially if I really liked it, just so that I have a copy of that book going forward. And again, it's something that I think readers are very aware of, and some readers, I think we see this a lot on TikTok, with the rise of book talk and things like that during lockdown, people became voracious readers. And because of lockdown, a lot of bookstores were closed and not everyone wanted to order things online. And so Kindle Unlimited boomed. That's where we had actually a lot of scams relating to Kindle Unlimited. Kindle Unlimited pays you by the page.
Funny enough, in researching, I found out that this is a thing that they just have been doing since like the inception of Kindle Unlimited, which shouldn't be that surprising to me. But I remember there was quite the crackdown during lockdown.
So there were authors, and yes, I'm using authors because that's crazy, where it would just be the cover and then it would be like book starts on page 128. So when you jumped ahead, it would count that as 128 pages read. And then the book would start. Kindle shut that shit down quick, but still, we got a lot of people that got comfortable with e-readers for books being very discounted, if not free, because of Kindle Unlimited. And then so when there were people that did have to pay for e-readers, they would get annoyed. I'll never forget, I saw someone literally adding an author on Twitter that was self-published that was angry that her books cost like $2.99 for the e-copy, which is cheaper than 90% of books right now, you know? So like even that, I was like, it's $3, but you clearly like this author to the point that you want to read her work. And $3, that's where you feel strongly enough to at her over it? What are we doing? My point is, with going on this tangent and bringing all this up, is that I really am encouraging you, whether it's books, movies, TV shows, music, hell, articles, the printout articles that you're reading, and video games. I'm encouraging you to start really intentionally building out your own personal library of the things that you love and collecting the things that you love. Because with the rise of digital first, with the rise of digital only, I think it's going to come to a time where, like, again, we already don't own much of anything, especially with younger generations. Like we don't own much, and that's going to continue to be a thing because why sell you the thing one time when they can sell it to you once a month, 4 times a year, bi-weekly? A lot of you, I'm assuming, are feeling this as well, where it's like, wow, this thing sucks now because they changed the subscription model. Why am I paying for this now when it's always been like this? And again, certain things, business costs money as one thing. So it's like, it's not surprising that businesses change over time and their income strategies change over time. But the physical lack of you're going to own literally anything is going to be alarming already with just the state of capitalism that we are currently in. However, with the rise of AI, you thought I wasn't going anywhere with this. They're going to make it incredibly difficult for you to pursue any form of knowledge, self-education, reading whatsoever in the future. That is literally in the game plan of many of these AI companies.
We see a future where intelligence is a utility like electricity or water, and people buy it from us on a meter and use it for whatever they want to use it for.
Sam Altman, he's the CEO of OpenAI, and I want to contextualize this clip a little bit more because he is talking about intelligence as in artificial intelligence, all right? But this is the goal, get you addicted to this thing because then you'll pay whatever is needed. Make it so that you can't think without this thing and you'll pay whatever is needed to be able to function long term. That's Hermes. But this is the goal, is to get you addicted to these LLMs and dependent on them so that long term they can, sell it back to you, so that in order to think, in order to function, in order to do your job, content, what have you, you need them.
Be like a limited resource and they can rent it to you in the future. I don't know if you can tell. I'm trying to explode him with my mind. But also you have companies like Anthropic. And I don't think Anthropic is the only one doing this. I think this is just the most famous case because now we have video and literal court filings about all of this. But most large language models, for those who don't know, were trained on stolen information. They're trained on stolen data. I know that at least a handful of my videos have been used to train various data sets for AIs. Probably all of them. YouTube, 100%, in my personal opinion, has used my videos and every other creators that you likes videos to train their AI. The speculation of a possible rumor is coming out that Amazon and Twitch are going to start training an AI with Twitch streams. And I'm going to be so fucking honest with you. I thought they were already doing that. I thought we all knew they were doing that because, of course, they would do that. That's why Twitch's staying power, despite being a money pit, is because it's the largest data set available to train an AI with of people having casual conversation and responding. Of course, of course they're going to train it off of that. It's hours and hours of VOD footage. But alas, okay, sure, let's pretend that wasn't already a thing that they were doing. It's trained on not just videos, not just my videos, but articles, written words. Like I talked about earlier this year, the issue with the Internet Archive was that their trawlers are being blocked because websites are blocking AI trawlers from trawling their sites. And so it's having trouble with archiving news information and stories, etc. I believe there was an instance as well where an AI company fully circumnavigated the blocks of a website and just stole information from the Internet Archive to train the AI. Bad, not good, still don't like that. So again, web pages, but also books. Anthropic just settled a lawsuit, I believe, with something like 2 million, a fuckload of authors, okay, where they were taking their books and scanning them to train the AI. I just saw a post, I don't know how real this is because unfortunately, the thing with Reddit is that you will get information that is very helpful and will solve your problems. You also will, there's troll people as well, which is just the reality of the internet and a site like Reddit. But basically, someone was saying that he was using OpenAI, ChatGPT, to write his book, and he would basically ask that it would help him write the chapters in the style of various authors. But now, because of their trying to avoid copyright, it now won't, I can't help you write in the style of Sally Rooney. I can write tell me what qualities you admire of the writing. And the person that was posting was like, I'm supposed to read all these books and then tell them what I like about it. I'm hoping it's a joke. I'm hoping that post is a joke, because if it's not, I'm going to freak out. I have met authors that have done that, where they've just fed their first book into ChatGPT, and then they've used ChatGPT to try and help write their next book. And they're like, yeah, it's a writing partner. Ugh. One thing that LLMs, which is what AIs are, large language models, is they need a lot of data to be fed into them. And so that's where OpenAI and a lot of these, mostly Sam Altman has said this, where he's like, we will reach true AI. And then once that happens and it reaches that state, it'll tell us how it'll make money. But they need a lot of data, hence the theft of existing works. So again, if you're using AIs, it is a large language model. If you're using a chatbot, generative AI, it is trained off stolen work of writers, stolen work of creators, stolen work of artists, musicians, etc. Okay, I can keep going. It's built off of theft. You're using the theft machine trying to get something original, and you expect me to not look at you sideways? Sorry, no. But one thing that is also happening is AI poisoning.
Hi, I think I used the wrong word here, but it's basically AI poisoning intentionally is, say, someone wants to mess up a data set. Say you upload 50,000 images. You only need to damage a handful of them to actually infect the AI. That's technically data poisoning. It's mostly intentional. But there is the issue of, which is the reason that we're going to get into what we're about to talk about, of AI being trained off of existing AI slop, basically, and that becoming a problem. So data poisoning is not the proper phrase. I don't know. Is it just is it data cannibalism then? I don't know. But data poisoning sounds correct. AI poisoning sounds correct, but apparently that is not the proper word, and I wanted to make that clear.
There was a statistic that came out, and I don't know how true this was, but basically it was saying that ChatGPT used to be actually more accurate in their mathematical answers when it came to math questions. And over time, once it became more available to public, it actually got statistically more likely to be wrong because it was learning from itself and learning from humans. And so interacting with humans actually made it, apparently, dumber. I don't know how true that is. I'm using the word dumb loosely. There's also this thing where you don't want AI that you're training to be trained off of already existing AI content because it's sloppy. They want to make AI slop. They don't want to train off of AI slop. So Anthropic, and I'm assuming every other AI company, but the Anthropic's the big one we're talking about, wants to only train off of works prior to 2024. There was a judge that talked about this because they were, stealing books, okay? And so basically the judge said that they can do what they are doing, which is what I'm about to explain in a second, If they don't steal books, they transfer the information from the books. Say I have this book. Let's say this is the last copy on the planet, okay? And I scan all the information from this book and I digitize it, okay? And then rather than having this copy and the digital copy, because that's a copy, that's a duplication. No, I have to transfer it. I have to destroy this book. So that way there's no other copy. This copy's falling apart, you see. Really, I'm preserving the information by just putting it out of its misery and destroying the book. That's what Anthropic is doing. To old, rare, sometimes the last copy of books.
They called it Project Panama.
This is from The Guardian. This is from Stephanie Convery. More than just objects, Australian booksellers raise alarm over horrific destruction of rare titles to feed AI. Secondhand booksellers believe they may have been caught up in the AI supply chain that sees old books scanned, then destroyed. Sometimes books tell you more than the content, says Tim White, as he lines up carefully dust-jacketed books and pamphlets in plastic sleeves on temporary shelves in Melbourne University's Wilson Hall. He's preparing his staff for this weekend's Melbourne Rare Book Fair. For people like White, who runs independent bookshop Books for Cooks, the book as a physical object is just as important as what's inside it. We're interested in where food and society connect, so we just keep pushing the boundaries, looking for things that show unusual aspects of that, things that tell us a bit more about what it is to be human, he says. That's what most of us rare booksellers do. We handle things that have a story. But vendors and rare book experts are increasingly worried that these artifacts may be under threat for destruction by generative AI companies seeking to feed their ravenous technology with new texts. Fears stem from a copyright lawsuit brought against AI company Anthropic in the United States by book authors. Unsealed court files revealed earlier this year that the company was engaging in the practice of destructive scanning. Buying physical books, slicing off the spines so to more efficiently scan the pages, then pulping the remains, and had sought to keep it quiet. The judge ruled this was lawful under U.S. copyright law as it amounted to transformative use. The practice is now understood to be widespread among generative AI companies, and recent reports suggest intermediaries are stepping up to facilitate the process. Australian secondhand booksellers are wondering if they have been caught up in the AI supply chain after they recently experienced waves of orders that did not fit the usual customer patterns. Multiple vendors confirmed to Guardian Australia they had received orders from a Canadian company called Zoom Books, which described itself as a book recycler. The orders usually come through large secondhand marketplace like Abe Books and Biblio, where inventory can range from cheap paperbacks to rare, expensive items. Delphina Manor, who runs Good Reading Secondhand Books in Benalla, Victoria, said she received orders from Zoom Books in May amounting to 3 full boxes, but had to write to the company to ask them not to order in such volume again. They ordered, paid in advance, and they didn't quibble over the postage, but it would have been about 30 to 40 books, and so finding them, packaging them, making sure we hadn't missed one, it was just driving me nuts, Manor said. John Sainsbury, owner of Melbourne Sainsbury Books, confirmed a slew of orders from Zoom Books had come through the store's online listings around the same time. The orders were price insensitive and appeared entirely random, niche titles, bottom end, and sometimes decades-old stock. The orders resulted in Sainsbury shipping multiple boxes overseas. Sainsbury described this company as a general bookseller at an antiquarian book fair, as he doesn't just deal in rare materials. The profile fits the pattern of vendors who have received similar orders. High-end specialist sellers did not appear to have been approached. Now, a lot of people are saying that this is fine that Anthropic is doing this, because sometimes it's a hardware manual from the 80s that is completely out of use, or even older, or even more niche down like that. And I think that, again, it comes down to the principle of things. I hate this, okay? And I think that if you are anyone, if you have any niche interest, there's book series that I read, God, in middle school that I'm like, God, I'm gonna go, that I know are out of print. I'm gonna make it now my life's goal to go hunt those down and make sure that I own physical copies of them for the future. Libraries occasionally have no choice but to throw out books that are destroyed. Damage happens to books over time. I went to an old bookstore when I was in Detroit, and walking through those shelves, if depending on how deep you get into those bookshelves, I think it's the largest used book reseller in the world. It's like King James or St. King's. I'll remember what it was. I have it somewhere. Walking through those shelves, I found a lot of amazing books that were from, the 70s older, but I also saw books on the shelves that were literally crumbling, like because they were just in the wrong environment of that building and were just falling apart. Does that mean that those words, even if they are out of date and no longer factually accurate, does that mean that those words have no value, that those books have no value, and therefore we should, allow the machines to be fed off of them? Is that what we're trying to say? Again, feeding the theft machine with the thing, just because, the authors of those books, those, like, let's say work manuals don't care anymore. Maybe they've passed, or does that mean that we should, again, it's fine because this has no value? At what point do we decide what has value and what has not? The amount of people that think that we're looking at the lists of authors when the list of stolen works from Anthropics came out, and we're like, oh, well, they're training off of her books. That's bullshit. They fucking suck. They can have her books. Like, at what, again... They want you to be stupid. They want you to own nothing. They want your kids to be fucking stupid. They want your kids to be trained by a fucking robot. They want no human interaction. They want, God, what was it Sam Altman posted? A fun use case, train the AI to make a podcast about, how your son's soccer game went and what's the plan for school this week, and play it on the way to school. Or you can talk to your fucking children. I just think this is two of things that I fucking hate in one, okay? The digital of it all. The digital only of media, games, etc., okay? And then also the AI of, okay, well, we're going to destroy this anyway. Like, it's... One day, all of this work that you do, regardless of what it is, will be fucking worthless, and we will use it to train our theft machine. And you should be grateful, because then at least the information went somewhere. And so I don't know. This is just me being upset. That's all this is me being upset. And I hope that you, as a viewer, I think you owe it to yourself, your future self, your brain, to not use AI. I'm purposely not talking about the environmental impacts of AI in this video, because that's one that a lot of people like to say it doesn't matter. What was it that people were saying? It's like, oh yeah, growing this crop of food actually uses the same amount of water as one data center. Let me know when you can eat a data center. Let me know. Have you tried it? Go take a bite. Tell me how that tastes. Tell me how that processes through your digestive tract. Again, I've obviously been focusing on the theft machine making a theft product and then being shocked. There's also an instance right now that just happened, and someone sent me this and they were like, haha, OMG. And I think that this is a very different instance than what happened with Shy Girl from Mia Ballard. And this is from the New York Post. Debut novelist $2 million deal for amazing book canceled on suspicions of AI use. This is from the New York Post from Ariel Zibler. Basically, there was a first-time novelist that got a whopping $2 million deal. And what's crazy about this instance is that seemingly no one brought up AI potential uses at any point. The agents loved the book. Seemingly there was no actual accusations of AI usage. And then someone brought it up after the deal was done. And so the agents are the ones that apologized publicly and nuked this deal. Weird. Even in this article, there's no evidence shown that there was AI here. What's the author's name? I'm only saying this. Jerry Fillades. Sue them. I would sue your agents. It's his own reps that pulled the plug on the sale of his debut crime novel, Call Me, I'll Hide the Body, after drawing the eye-whopping offer from Minotaur, a Macmillan U.S. imprint, according to The Guardian. He says he initially accepted it that AI had not been used in the manuscript or editing of it. And then seemingly they said answers changed. In the case of Mia Ballard for Shy Girl, basically she tried to say, I believe she is still saying, that she did not use AI, but her editor did, and that she knew about it, or like, it's like, oh, well, this changed enough. And like from the jump, I mean, even before she got the book deal, there was people talking about how, hey, I think this was written with AI. It doesn't sound like that same thing was happening here. And it's like, that should be bothering any writer, any person, okay? These things should be bothering you. These blanket accusations of AI. If you are a creative, if you are a writer, if you are a fan of original works, if you are a fan of media, you should be agitated. You should be upset when you see that one day your art that you love, the works, the usage, whether it's a story or a fucking manual that you use for your job, that you like for your hobbies, your fucking, RC car hobby. You don't think that RC car manual, one day they will deem it as no longer worthy, and that's just good for theft. We can scan that, we can steal that. Long story short, I'm just saying, I think you owe it to yourself, in this rise of digital first, in this rise of everything has an expiration date for how long it's important, and then we no longer deem it as worthy. You owe it to yourself to build out your personal collection of media and books, articles, even if the amount of things that change. I saw someone on Twitter that was like, God, I'm so glad that I have so many screenshots of articles from 2020, the amount of COVID articles that are just gone. And things like that are crazy. I think, look at this administration. You can't trust a .gov website right now. Again, that goes back to everything that I was talking about in the archiving video and things like that with personal archiving and the importance of archiving. But the importance of collecting is the point I'm trying to make here for yourself going forward. And again, if you're like, Amanda, books are expensive, like you said, $19.99, look at your local library, see if they have any sales coming up so they can bring in new inventory. Thrift books, I'm not affiliated with them, but I do love thrift books. They're a secondhand bookstore online. They actually have a really great rewards program too. Certain amount of dollars spent, you get a $5 thing. It's pretty sick. A garage sales, look around, do media exchanges with friends, request physical media being made of movies. And, sometimes I saw a great breakdown about the movie Obsession. It's oh yeah, you can rent it or buy it, the digital copy on Amazon, or you can buy the actual Blu-ray, which comes with a digital version as well. So you get the physical DVD copy and the digital version as well. So you have both for literally the same price as buying it on Amazon. I'm going to wrap this up. I'm just rambling, but I think that even baby steps of growing your own personal collection, if you have things that you love, I think you owe it to yourself and your future to have some within reason. Again, I'm not trying to encourage you to, go into debt, trying to save all of human knowledge. That's my personal bullshit that I want to do. But seriously, I think knowledge is important. Reading is important. Supporting art is important, whether it's, a hentai anime or an Odyssey adaptation, which, hey, sometimes they're the same thing. You never know. That's going to be it. I'm running out of time on my camera, but do you collect physical media? What are your thoughts on physical media? Did you used to collect physical media and then now in the pursuit of minimalism, you own fuck all? Let me know. Comment down below. Reminder, I stream on Twitch. Mine Swell Entertainment is now available on Spotify. Reminder to go Girly Pop. Go if you'd like some more car and motorsport content. Shout out to my channel members. Thank you so much for supporting my channel memberships. If you also support my channel memberships, you can join down below. Like to find on social media. That'll be up here. It's me. Hello day. Goodbye. I also just hate digital first overall. I feel especially in the event space, I love a ticket. I love a physical ticket. It's not a thing anymore. I hate that everything needs Wi-Fi to work. I hate that I couldn't get anything done yesterday when the Wi-Fi at my hotel was out. It really stresses me out about the future of, because our power grids are not going to be able to handle this shit. The AI data centers are just water polluting, noise polluting, taking up space, and we're supposed to be grateful